welcome to Cake with Care C and Kinetic. We are here live to air on vexradio.com. It is Tuesday, May 23rd. We're here live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So tell a friend if you want to join the conversation, listen in to what we're going to get into tonight. Vex Radio is the best place to tune in. Check us out. And where you're going to find a link to join the conversation, which I'm about to post in the next 5 minutes. So you can join the conversation right at the top of the show. And I promise to have it up there. So it'll be on the Vex Radio site. So if you're viewing us, listening to us there, just scroll down where you see a comment box. There will be a link there. That's the link to join. I'm also going to post it on our YouTube page where the show is also being aired, and you will see it off to the right, depending on what device you're using, but or somewhere on your device. You just need Google Hangouts on that same device if you'd like to join the conversation, and that's an app. Most people have it, all Android, up-to-date Android phones have them, and you can download the app in a minute, like any other app, if you want to join the conversation tonight or any other night. And yeah, so we're here, like I said, every Tuesday, but vexradio.com broadcasts the best in hip hop and R&B 24/7, 365. So you'll always be entertained by Vex, and a lot of useful and fun information on the site daily, like throughout the day. So follow Vex on Instagram, Twitter, and check the site, vexradio.com, for more information and just to listen to some good music. How you doing, Kinetic?
Good, I'm good.
Yeah.
Tired from the weekend. I need a vacation from my long weekend.
Which you're about to take, no? Something like that, maybe.
Yeah, hint, yeah, exactly.
But will it be something where you can
catch on quick?
I do. So what's this all about? What's this vacation all about? Where are you going?
Family business.
Family?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
The wedding, at a destination wedding, so
Oh,
nice. A bunch of us are going down to celebrate a wedding,
Can anybody ever invite me to a wedding, a destination wedding? I've only been to one. And mind you, I have a cousin that's getting married next month down there, but it's not the same. He lives there. Well, it's at a nice venue too, but yeah, I won't even get into all that, but I won't be attending. But anyway, back to you and yours. So you're going to be heading down. How long are you staying for? About?
It's only 5 days. I'm supposed to dip in, dip out, North Coast,
Nice.
That kind of thing. But hey, change of area code. It's been a minute, so
Yeah, man.
I'm used to jumping on a plane every 2-3 months, and it's been a little more longer than that.
Yeah. And you're staying in one area? Like, meaning you're staying in one parish, like one town, like general area.
Staying in Montego Bay. I'll call it really Lucy. Staying in the Lady Hamilton. So
okay.
Yeah,
you gotta give. Damn, you gave exact. So people want to find you. They know exactly where to find you. But we won't give We won't give the dates out.
You gotta get in.
We won't give the dates. What?
Yeah, but they gotta get in.
Okay, well, they might be that determined. Who knows? There are some people out there that are trying to get at people, and there's no limit to what they will do. Trust that. But yeah, Lucy, I stayed there actually, but it was by a family member's place that I stayed. I spent about a week there, and was trying to go to the jazz festival that year. It didn't make it. How many years ago was this? This was, I think, Kenny Rogers was performing. Is it Rogers? Kenny Rogers? Is that the food Kenny place? Rogers. No, that's a singer. Yeah. Yeah. Really. What? Yeah. He's a singer. He's a country singer. Yeah, I love Kenny Rogers. Okay, but no, when I said the name, I haven't said it in a while because first came to mind Kenny Loggins, but then I thought Rogers, and I was like, isn't there a restaurant called? But whatever. So yeah, but the traffic, it was ridiculous, and so the people that we're supposed to go with, like people were stuck. Like there was another car, that was stuck, and like the show had already started, and yeah, my cousin was like, you know what? And they show it on TV at the same time, which is weird. Or for the most part, they're showing, I don't know what they were showing, but we were able to see some of the performances. So I don't know if it was delayed or what. And so Anyway, we just
Scares you
call it
being
a
in
night
Detroit.
because yeah, because I mean, by the time we were to actually get there and get in and get to seats and stuff like that, it was going to be ridiculous. So, anyway, but so that should be nice. I hope there's the rain subsides. I don't know if they were getting a
Yeah,
lot of rain that side.
yeah. Well, this North Coast, so you know what I mean. They always get rain, but I'm
I
hoping
know,
that
but
decided.
yeah,
Like I hope it's all dried out now.
I know because it's crazy, and I don't know if you saw some of the posts, like people
Yeah, flooding.
almost swimming in this filthy water. Like I was like, do they not realize that it's the same water that's washing up all the
Sewer,
garbage and the dog filth and just everything that's
sewer,
off
yeah.
to the sides and in the streets? Oh, it, sorry. I mean, that's the least, that's the least. That was not my first thought. Like, obviously you're thinking about people's health and safety and all that good stuff. But then
That's
when you
first world problems.
I know. Ew, nasty water. Swimming, go to the sea to swim. No, but
No,
seriously,
but
it was.
what I'm saying is first world problems. Like we gotta remember flooding's happened yearly there, right? So it's just a matter of where it's gonna hit, right?
I know, but sometimes it's worse than others. And then even just the rain, like right now, I know rain throughout the island is kind of messing up people's crops and stuff like that. And so
Yeah,
hopefully, but I mean, then you get droughts, you get the opposite, which is causes just as much chaos and problems um, and that's worldwide. But yeah, we're all, there's stuff happening everywhere. And I don't know what's easier to take the man-made, sorry, like the natural disasters or like these man-made or man-created destruction, such as what just recently happened in Manchester over
yeah,
in
it's
the
crazy, right?
UK. Yeah, like so I guess it happened last night, right? And
Yeah.
or evening. I didn't really see a time, and with the time difference and stuff like that, I couldn't really calculate. But you think like a concert for mainly young people was in the evening, and I now hearing that it was toward the end of the concert, which I thought it was the beginning. I thought she didn't even perform, but it was toward the end where and the concert I'm referring to, sorry, is the Ariana Grande concert. The first of I think three in that area that she was supposed to be performing in. So it would have been last night and the next couple days. And so yeah, there was a suicide bomber. This is what is being reported that
Is this suicide or I thought they caught somebody?
I don't know if they caught
The
anybody
police,
associated, affiliated, but they did say that it was a suicide. Well, in one of the reports, and I mean, you see things all over, and it's
yeah,
funny because you say that, and it's like that's the first thing people, when we do hear of things like that, you hear a bomb going off, you almost instantly picture the type of person who did it and why they did it. You know what I mean? Or
yeah,
why what the affiliation
yeah,
is. And so
yeah.
I don't know if in the reports um, that was mentioned, but I remember hearing that, and apparently it was a young male.
23-year-old. I thought they
Yes.
caught a 23-year-old male. That's what I thought.
Oh, so maybe they caught him, but they had said it was a 23-year-old exactly, like so it was a young man. I thought just to be so, if that's the fact, just to be so dedicated to any cause, to just give your life at that age. And I'm thinking my first thought, which was kind of like when I heard that description was, I wonder if he was there and actually just like for a moment thinking, this is kind of cool. There's like a lot of nice, like cute girls here. And you know what I mean? Like I thought, did for a second, like did he get pulled out of that frame of mind? But I mean, obviously not. And it's silly for me to be thinking about that. But it, you just think of why people do things and how the mind control part of it, and then I guess belief and what's how deep your belief has to be for you to risk your life, whether it's risk losing your life or risk going to prison, or you know what I mean, um, for the rest of your life type of thing. It's like you're still giving up your life in some way. So but anyway, so that happened, and I believe so far from what I've heard there were 23 victims, and there were including young people and including an 8-year-old child, which again reminded me taking my daughter. I've taken my daughter to a few shows over the years that are geared to her age group, and I remember taking her. I believe she was around 8. Like we've been to a few different concerts down at the Molson Amphitheater mainly. Yeah, not the AC. I don't know if we've ever been to the ACC, but yeah, like for that age group, you know what I mean? So you'll have like 6-year-olds right up to 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, that range. And to think that they would anybody would attack that group is like just beyond me. Like I'm thinking if you're gonna like for whatever point you're trying to make or whatever you're representing, I just think like that's just so off limits that you know what I mean? Um so I don't know, but I like to me, do you think because now the which always comes up, the discussion of security and the fact that it was a concert and people are screened before going into concerts. In this case, it seemed like he may not have even gone in because it was outside or close to
But
the
yeah.
right?
Well, that's what usually happens in England, right? Or
Mm,
France. You notice it's always outside because the security is not like North America. The security, they're always on like high alert. You know, because like America, France, Israel, and England,
mhm,
that alliance is
mhm,
responsible for 95% of the wars that are going on right now, right?
mhm, mhm.
So they're always on high alert. So to get it's hard pressed to get into stadiums in any one of those countries to blow up. So like and remember in England when the where was it? Was it Manchester again? They had the football game. When I say football, I
Oh,
mean the soccer
soccer,
game.
football. Mhm.
Remember, yeah, and that was outside, as well as when they had the bombing at the rock concert in France, that was outside as well.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I thought it was inside. I just assumed
No, it was
with that one
outside the
in
stadium
France.
as well. Oh wait, no, maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe you're right. It's maybe that one was inside. Definitely the soccer one was
Mhm.
outside, but that rock one in France, I believe you're right. It was inside.
See, but then you would think, and this is what some people are saying that now, knowing that and them being so on such high alert all the time, then they should be bringing their security out, and maybe not the physical. I don't know. They have to find a way that really secures all the way around, like the perimeter, like they have to go further out than people um, entering, especially in
Yeah,
those
well, you see,
places, right? Mhm.
though it's hard. It's kind of hard pressed to if you think the logistics
Mhm,
of doing security, right? Just think about a club. Like we've both been in club situations, right?
mhm,
You
mhm,
have people outside, then you have people that are just wandering around, and it's like, what do you do? Lock off the streets so people can't enter unless they have a ticket, which adds more cost to more costs to the event because that means more security, that means more fencing,
mhm,
and who's going to pay for that? Is it the police? Is it the promoter? Is it the stadium? Is it a joint thing? So logistically, it's kind of, and then on top of that, um, it's not like Toronto. It's like they have. It's like America, where they have hundreds of millions of people in England, right? So it's
mhm,
kind of like now if you lock off the stadium and everything's a roundabout, or like logistically how a car is going to get around that, and all those people going into the stadium, because remember their stadiums are 50,000 people, not 20,000, and you
mhm,
know how it is, like for us, right? Twenty
mhm.
thousand people coming out of the ACC, or 20,000 people coming out of the Sky Dome
Yeah,
locks
it's like
down
a swamp. Yeah, yeah,
for
like the
baseball
downtown. Yeah,
games.
exactly.
Yeah, so imagine 50,000 people
Mhm,
coming out of a stadium. Now, what kind of gridlock that would be, right? So it's kind of logistically, it's a nightmare to extend it and only allow people with tickets coming into the event. And again, who says that somebody who has plastic on and plastic explosive or whatever it may be can't get by those security, right? just
mhm,
because just because they lock it down outside doesn't mean that they can't get in with it. What if they plant the stuff inside, you know, weeks before,
Hmm.
right?
But true. And so, I mean, that just supports the idea that could there ever, that where people question if there could ever be enough security everywhere at all times. And I mean, I, but to answer your question, I think that certain venues, especially stadiums that are designed a certain way, and they're usually a little more isolated, even if they're in the downtown core, let's say, or in a busy area, but people are going to have to expect that
Yeah, the
right
layers.
around that area. Yeah, you're going to have to expect that it's going to be a little more secure. But then people have to come from somewhere, and
Right,
the lines of security has to end somewhere. So,
right.
you know what I mean? So if they have to be pushed out that much further, people are going to have to enter from that, and you know what I mean? So
But
it's
it all
like,
comes down, as you know, and I know it, and it makes that's a total fair point. But
mhm,
it all comes down to money.
dollars. Yeah,
No
definitely.
matter what, the dollars have to justify it, and we know that they don't really care about lives. They say they do, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to the almighty dollar.
Well, I think they do care about as nothing happening to taint their venue, you know what I mean? And then to go through all of the steps of checking and who was negligent and was there enough, because there actually people speaking out and saying they didn't have to show their purse, because when you get a flood, especially with a concert like that probably sold out, you get a flood of people, the security will be overwhelmed, and if the person looks quote unquote innocent enough, they'll just kind of, okay, they'll do like a quick, okay, go. And me, I've
Right.
been to concerts and stuff, and where I have to enter, and I kind of have a little attitude, not major, but kind of like, okay, you're really not trying to like dig through every corner of my purse kind of face. And they're like, yeah, we don't really want to challenge this one, but but I open it, but I'm like, okay, but I'm really not, you're not going to go through it, you know what I mean? And then you could see, depending on the person, they kind of feel like, okay, I can't really invade. And then with women, sometimes we have little things in there that that certain people, especially men, buck up on, and then they're like, oh, okay, I don't want to see anymore, I don't want to go any further, you know what I
Right.
mean? I've seen enough kind of things. So that that works too. But no, back to, but the concern, I think, usually for them ends, yeah, where their property line ends, unfortunately. But on the other side too, the question is, how much security in this world, um, how much more can we have where it's no longer securing a place or securing a venue, but then now invading my me when I happen to be standing waiting for a car, or like whatever, or just walking along the street minding my business, and there are cameras everywhere, which I mean I know exist,
Hmm.
but I hate that. I'm one of these people that when I look up and I see a camera to my left, to my right, the front of me, I'm pissed, because I'm like, I can't even go into my person piece. I'm like, I feel like I'm on my phone, and it's not about people being over my shoulder. It's like the cameras everywhere that can zoom in at any point. And I'm thinking, no one needs to be all up in my business and know what I'm doing. Like, not that I'm so important, but I'm an individual. I'm a citizen of this world. You know what I mean? And I feel as if everywhere I go, there's a camera pointing on me, which I just feel like we have no freedom. You know what I mean? Because and this is
Yeah.
what the price we pay, and we trade for this sense of security that doesn't really provide that much, like it's not guaranteed. You know what I mean? So
Well, that is partially what I was saying, is that they really don't care about human lives, because it's really about control and the fear mongering. They allow, 9 times out of 10. As I said, you know what? I'm a strong conspiracy theorist. Not everything is a conspiracy. Not everything is like, as is. But you got to remember, the government has an agenda of world and I mean, anybody could argue it, but it just comes down to it that I believe. Let me say that, and this is my theory,
Mhm.
that the government has an agenda where it is, as you said, to control people, to watch people. Like we're like if you like we give up our freedoms every day, whether it's through Facebook, whether it's through IG, Twitter. I mean, right there and there on our home device, they know who we are associated with, who we know, when we're with them, where we've gone, like it's the who, what, when, where, why, and who's associated. And through email transfers, we know how much money that we know who we're directly associated. We transfer money. How much money we've given this person. Like they know in the proximate city how far we're away, how many times we meet because they can trace through our cell phones. So just all of that alone, we've given up so much rights and freedoms. Then like America had brought in the Patriot Act, and then they really wanted the Freedom Act, which stripped everybody of their civil rights. And then the PC government brought in, our C bill. Is it 42 or 20, 24 or 42, where it made Canadian citizens a second, like if you were born,
Mm.
it was supposed to be for terrorism, but if you were born to born,
Immigrant. Oh,
yeah,
sorry, you were cut off a
you're
bit.
born, yeah, if you were born to an immigrant, even if you were like first generation Canadian, you are now a second tier citizen that suspended and or your citizenship suspended or removed based on whatever's happening, like criminal time, whether it was like or something of that nature. But they've shown in history that it's easier to put these these acts in place, to pass these acts, and which, by the way, Canadians or the Harper government try to pass it in secret. That's a whole different story.
Hmm.
But easier when there is a terrorist attack. Then right after that, their agenda is to pass these bills because we're fighting terrorism, we're doing this, we're doing that, and then what happens is they pass it and then they amend it to the Patriot Act was too dense, but really and truly it was a game of chess because they wanted to have the Freedom Act. So
Hmm.
they made the amendments to they reduced things, and just like Canadians, we had that that the C bill 42 or 24, whatever it may be, that stripped us of a lot of our rights. Then they repealed it. It's been like through the Liberal government, they've eradicated that law, repealed, or is in review. But the fact remains is it's still in place, and they're going to scale back and say, you know what, all right, even though out of what is six of our rights and freedoms have been eradicated, now they're going to probably take away three. But the fact remains is that it's always after a terrorist attack, you know, all of a sudden, these hundreds of page documented acts, all of a sudden,
Get pushed through
within
and
are
yeah.
put through.
Hmm.
Like it
Or
takes
introduced. Yeah.
like of course it's like there's an agenda, right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
somebody has written these laws, put them in place, waited or made things happen, all of a sudden it's pushed through based on fear mongering. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where I believe that strategic, whatever powers may be, these are strategic placements of these acts to strip us of our
Hmm.
rights and freedoms.
And I agree with you because there has to, I mean, there's truth to that. But on the other side, there are these things are happening. And
Yeah,
whether or not, um, I mean, provoked or unprovoked, like the point is things are happening. So if we were to now turn around and say, well, we don't need, which I don't think anybody would argue that we don't need any type of security measures in place. And I'm not saying as far as those acts, certain acts, but I'm speaking about like my complaint about, all the cameras in my face or
yeah,
the extra long lines at at the airport. And I mean, changes that we've seen. implemented in our lifetime, like with, uh, you know, limits of what you can carry and just how invasive these searches are, which, and I mean, and one thing for the record, which pisses me off, because whenever I am traveling, and I have traveled, um, like entered the airport with flip-flops on, depending on where I'm going and coming from, with, the plan to change into my sneakers or whatever I'm gonna actually be on the plane in, or, but and I'm like barefoot, my slippers, and they're still telling me take my shoes, which I know
Yeah.
that there are people that have things in shoes, their devices, but that's where I lose it all the time when I have to take my shoes off and be stepping on the dirty floor. Oh, I go crazy like that. Yeah, but anyway.
Well, it's also part.
So,
That's part. Yeah, I agree with you 100% because part of it is, you know what, I've seen right in front of myself, Caucasian elderly men walking through with their shoes on, and I've had to take my shoes off.
mm,
It's happened to
really?
me like directly. I said, I'm not taking off my shoes because he didn't have to take off his shoes, and I actually made them, you know, check that gentleman, the gentleman in front of me, just out of principle, because they want you to feel the
Mhm.
process, right? That's what it
Mm,
comes down to. Like, you know what? I said I want my pat down. They said no, you have to go. You have to go through the scanner. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to go through scanner. You know what I mean?
mhm.
I want to go. I want a pat down. It's my right to take either a scanner or a pat down. I would like to take a pat down.
See, and I had to do the scanner thing once. I don't know why. And then there was a nice young Jamaican lady who took me aside. She goes, "Actually, it's better." And but I'm like, "No, I don't know what waves or whatever, coming out of these machines and how they're attacking
Well,
my
no,
body or what
it's
images."
like an X-ray. It's just like an X-ray, but the difference is that's the problem. They're X-raying your genitals. They have,
Exactly. I don't
they on
appreciate
by
that.
your private parts. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean, so it's just one of those things. They want you to feel the process. Like, they want to make sure that they know,
Right.
they can
Mentally.
look at you, or they can look at I, and they can say, okay, A-type personality. You know what? We're gonna make him submit, or you're gonna make her submit.
Mm,
Right? They know, they've been trained to see who is who, and what I mean, or they've made their notes. Like, when you scan your thing, as soon as you're walking
passport
through,
or whatever.
yeah, when you scan your passport, they've made their notes like this person is a difficult case.
Mm.
They know
What?
this
But
stuff,
they
like,
know. No, I'm not. I'm like the nicest person. Like even when I have a low attitude, like I'm still like I end it all with like, I understand it's your job, whatever. Like it's nothing personal kind of thing. But I hear what you're saying, and I think I get what you're saying. Because everything starts in the mind, right? This is mind
right.
control, it's mental. Yeah. And if that
Like, and
if that could provoke you, and so the next time you act up a little
yeah,
or you do, and then you play right in, see, this is exactly why we need to do this. This is
yeah,
exactly the type of people. Like I get it.
exactly.
But
But you see what's really funny? Actually, that has worked for me in reverse though, because what had happened was one time, I was coming in. It was Jamaica. I was coming in from Jamaica, and there was delayed flights and all this stuff, and like a 4 hour, 4.5 hour flight turned into an 11 hour flight for me, and I
mm,
was totally tired. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to my work and next day, and and they stopped me. I have my Canadian passport. I have my what I don't carry like luggage. What I actually carry is a hockey bag.
okay,
Because
yeah,
it's lighter,
yeah,
you can, whatever it is, it's just easy to
exactly.
just sling over your shoulder and go, right?
Hmm.
So I don't actually carry luggage. I carry a hockey bag, and you hardly, whatever it is. So, anyways, I'm coming through. I have my hockey bag, and this, I guess it was, I don't know if he was Iranian or Indian, one of the two. Like, he could have been one of the two. Was
Hmm.
questioning me, like, and I had, my Canadian passport. So I'm just basically like, he just asked me, what, this and that, blah blah blah, and but he was just being excessive. And I said, hold on a second. You see, that's a Canadian passport, correct? You see how much times I fly in and out of here, correct? I said, look, I don't care what you want to do. I'm not asking permission to come into my country.
Exactly.
I don't care I don't care who you want to send me to, but I am done with you.
Wow.
So whether you call your manager, whether you want to send me to custom, whether you want to send me to wherever you want to do, I'm finished with you. Can I have my passport, please, and tell me where I'm going? And since that day, I've never been stopped from customs or any immigration officer ever since that day. Believe it or
Knock
not,
on
I go.
wood.
They look at my passport, they scan, and they go. They just scan my passport. I don't, and they just let me go. I asked like I'm asked like 3 questions about it, but I'm very stern. I've said I don't care. I'm not asking you to come into my country.
Hmm.
That's a Canadian passport. I'm a Canadian citizen. I'm done with you. I don't care where you want to send me, whether it's customs, your supervisor, but I'm finished talking to you. Because he was
Wow.
asking like 15 questions, and he knew we were coming off a long flight, and I was just irritated to the point where he kept on going on and on
Yeah,
and
that's
on and
too
on and
much.
on,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and instead of just giving me my, my what's the call again, my standard question, do you have anything, blah blah blah, what, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
He's drilling me. I'm talking about he was drilling me, and to the point where it just started it started sounding like Charlie Brown to me.
Hmm.
So after that, since that day, they scan my passport, they stamp it, they scan my passport, stamp my pass, and I go straight through custom, straight through everything. I've never been stopped since that day, and that's about maybe 20 fights later.
Well, let's hear what happens after this upcoming flight.
Yeah,
You may
this
have
one,
jinxed yourself. But no, I
right?
can say I've shared the same luck. There was the only time I was actually pulled over and sent to like where they checked open bags and everything. I was actually traveling with someone else. Um, and I was like, damn, like as far as at the airport, same thing.
Yeah,
Same thing, yeah, when I was anyway, the US, but totally different story. But yeah, you gotta know your rights. That's key. And I mean, with one of our guests, Nia Singh, when he was talking about even just roaming the streets of Toronto or wherever you are, just knowing your rights is key. And that gives you so much power and strength in the moment. You know what I mean? Not
well,
that you
to
have
be
to be,
honest, it
not
wasn't
to
about.
say yeah, you were just pissed. You were just tired.
I was just ignorant. I was tired, and I just got ignorant because this guy was just on my nerves. Like, he was working my last nerve for real.
Mhm.
Like, it was nothing about knowing any rights. I just said,
No.
I'm done with you.
But I'm saying
You
it's
know what I
good
mean?
to
But it's
know
true
though. And
what
I
you're
mean, for
saying.
you
Yeah,
to be able to say, I'm not staying here begging to enter my country. Like I have a Canadian passport, I'm a citizen. And I mean, even knowing that, like knowing that, guess what? Once you have certain documentation, you will be allowed. And if you and even the right to say, move me along, whether or not it's
yeah,
someone your superior or something else, but with you and knowing that, yeah, these are, I mean, they are in their position, but they are limited in what they can do as well. And there's someone going to be watching them and can question them as to, okay, why were you questioning this person excessively? And they have to answer to someone too. So sometimes they need to be pushed that way as well. And
totally.
they may have already been talked to about that. So you doing that, he's like, okay, I don't need another counselor, you know what I mean? Or like another chat. So let me just hurry up and
Yeah,
push this man through. Who
I get it.
knows? But but no, but I'm and I just want to, like, I didn't say it at the top, but to all the victims in Manchester and everywhere that, people have suffered recently and not so recently at the hands of other people who are taking basically other people's lives into their own hands and doing these things, but especially to the people of Manchester who are going through it now. I was watching earlier a woman who a couple who are still looking for their teenage daughter. And I mean, it's
Mhm.
been more than 24 hours. And I can't imagine, like I stood there just thinking,
Oh,
I
yeah.
always picture my situation and think, I could not imagine how people could be feeling. And I mean, the fact that they even had the strength and the focus to speak on television, but they were using it, as they said, as a way to get it out there and get her image out there to help them. So, their strength comes
You
in
see,
trying to find their daughter, but it's just horrible. It's horrible.
you
So,
see the thing I don't understand. Like, okay, I can understand. Like, I'm not a terrorist sympathizer, and when I say terrorist, I mean on
mhm,
either side. I'm not talking about
yeah,
whether it's Canadian, whether it's American, whether it's ISIS, terrorism. Period. Because
mhm,
you know what? We're on one side of the
mhm,
foot and we're looking at terrorism. But when somebody bombs your country, comes into your country, dictates to you how you're supposed to live, and then bombs you and kills your daughter, or randomly by a shell kills something or somebody of yours, somebody that you love, that would turn you into a terrorist as well.
mhm,
So terrorism on both sides of the fence. I'm totally anti-terrorist. I do not sympathize with terrorism, period. But it's just not one-sided, because a lot of times what happens is that, North American, or whether it's America, whether it's England, whether it's any one of the alliance, they go into a country, they bomb a country, they kill somebody, they create another. It's like, kind of like the Crips and Bloods. It's like, you kill one and they don't die, they multiply.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you kill one, you make somebody angry, and they're going to want to strike back. And then those members, those Israeli extremists, or not Israeli, pardon me, I'm not going to say Islamic. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
say those extremists, those terrorist extremists, because Islam and terrorism. I'm not Islamic, by the way, but I'm just saying this. I know the difference. I'm not brainwashed to think that, oh, Islam is terrorism, which a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people coordinate, because the media has dictated this, and has strung this out for so long, and has brainwashed to thinking automatically Islam is terrorism. But that's a different note. But what I'm trying to say is that you bomb these people, you destroy them, displace their home, you crush their economy, you've killed their family members, and you expect, and you dictate to them, whether the religion is right or wrong. You also dictate to them, what they can and cannot do. And if they don't agree with you, then you go to war with them on top of that. Like, it's a wonder why they're attacking you.
Exactly.
Right? Like, it's like me coming into your home, and you tell me you must remove your shoes, take off your hat, and then you say, you know what? Screw you. Not only am I gonna put on keep my boots on and keep my hat on, I'm gonna take your home. I'm gonna put my feet on your coffee table. I'm gonna take what I want. I'm gonna destroy what I want. I'm gonna kick you out of your house, and then you're supposed to sit there, that
And then
and
when you're
say,
done, you go home, and then
no, yeah, no, but I'm not only that, but I've taken your property, I've put somebody else in there, and kicked you out of your place, and then you're gonna expect for me not to retaliate? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
are you dumb? Like, and then they cry boo hoo, when they get attacked, and then
Yeah,
they,
so
they
and
but
that's where I was going to go with that, to say then you're back in the safety or comfort in your own place, and now think
oh
that
yeah,
you've left it all behind. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you've, and that's why I said at the top, provoked or unprovoked. You know what I mean? Like, because
right, yeah, it's
some of
true, yeah,
these acts and some of these people have been provoked, and it's not by us individuals that are going to
right.
feel the wrath. You know what I mean? But it's the powers that be on all sides, like
But you
either
see, that's the
side.
thing. But that is the where I believe, and I'm not saying I advocate, or I terrorism. Period. I got to reiterate that. But if you're gonna strike 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds watching, you know, Grande perform. That's where you draw the line. Like that, in itself is totally despicable. Okay, if you're gonna go, like, and again, I'm not saying that this is correct, but when you strike a military base, when you strike, embassy, or something that which strikes back at the country, not the people of the country, because just like you will never call for anybody to kill your kids, like, like, you know what I'm saying, like, strike back at,
Exactly.
you're gonna do something, strike back at the White House, strike
The
back
powers,
at,
exactly.
military base, right? Huh?
If you were going to strike people, we're not telling you to. We're
No,
just
that's
saying,
no, that's I'm
since
not
you're putting
advocating,
all,
again, I'm
whoever's doing
not
it, since you're
advocating it
putting your
whatsoever, and I'm
energy,
not promoting it.
but
I'm
I
not
mean, this
promoting
goes
it.
into supporting an argument that I'm sure you've probably been a part of a discussion or you've had, is that who is really behind these
Right,
attacks, right?
right.
And if I mean, I watched a video. I came across a video online that was, I don't know what it was exactly, but it was they were singing, and it was, I'd like to say, Islamic. Like, I think just based on what I saw the writing, I don't know for sure. But they were definitely, yeah, I would say, and they were Islamic. Like, I think it was this group, and I don't know what they were singing. And but the amount of people that were gathered in this one place, and I I said to myself, okay, if everybody that believes like is, that
Yeah.
the
Had this conversation.
numbers, you know where I'm going with it. The numbers,
Yeah.
if people, if all these
We would
people were
we'd all be
determined,
dead.
we would be so done. Like I'm thinking,
Like we
if
make
that
up,
equals
honestly, North
terror,
America make
and
up like,
if that
yeah,
equals terrorists, and they're all born and raised with this mentality, then I'm looking at all these people and I'm like, these people can just wipe us out in a minute. And it's like so basic. And I've had this thought before, because when you're in school and everything, you have to argue like and study different things, and you're just thinking, okay, the numbers, when you're saying these numbers, it doesn't add up. But even just an image like that, and that was one of the first things I thought about. And I thought, if you see this video and know the amount of people that we are talking about when you
yeah,
refer to certain religions like Muslims and
yeah.
Islam.
Well, let's put it let's put
And
into perspective, right?
that was just one. I'm sure that still wasn't every single one, and that didn't
Right.
account for the Muslims who are worldwide. You know what
Well,
I
this is
mean?
my point. This is my
Mm,
point is if we quantify the perspective, right?
mhm, mhm.
If you think about it, there's 7 billion people, almost 3 billion people on the face of the earth, correct?
Don't ask me, but go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
sorry, I had it
There's
on
about
mute.
what else yeah, for argument. So I thought we cut out there for 7 billion people on the face of the earth. North America alone, America, Canada, the West Indies, and even South America, maybe I don't know, maybe 800, maybe a billion people, 800 million, maybe a billion people. So the rest of the world who are non-Christians,
Mhm,
because there's atheists, there's Muslims who make up the biggest religion in the world. Then there's Christianity, and then all the other ones that make up Buddhism and all those things. But the majority of of those who follow the Muslims that follow that religion make up the majority of the world. We're talking about India. We're talking about
mhm,
all of the Arab states. We're talking about like Muslims are even in Jamaica.
mhm,
Like, you know what I
mhm.
mean? They are all over the world.
Everywhere.
They make up, they're probably about 4 billion out of the 7 billion people. They make up that world. So, if, first of all, it was an Islam thing, we're done.
Mhm.
There's no way 4 billion is not gonna win over 3 billion. And you got to remember, we're
Exactly.
now saying that now we're saying, out of all the Christians in the world and stuff like that, how many of them are going to fight? So we're
Mhm.
talking about 4 billion soldiers versus maybe, I don't know. Let's even just say we'll up it. We'll up it and say 1 billion soldiers against 4 billion soldiers. Who's gonna
Exactly.
win?
Exactly. Which is
Like,
not
so it's
even.
not
It's not even a billion. Like, yeah, the North American.
right. That's what I'm saying. Is I'm
Yeah.
just saying is we'll up it.
But
We'll just
even if you,
we'll
yeah,
push.
exaggerated it. Mhm.
Right. So at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is not a Islam versus Christian or Islam. It is an agenda that's pushed by a certain elite. I don't care if you want to call them Illuminati. I don't care if you want to call them Freemasons. I don't care if you want to call them, Temple Knights. I don't care if you want, Roshanes, or I don't even care if you want to call them Star Chamber, the five families, which make up the Star Chamber, or the Rockefellers, the Queen of England, the Bushes, like all of them. I don't care if you want who you want to call it. What it comes down to is there is an agenda, clear agenda, dictated. If you go back and look at it this way, right? In order, I've stated this before,
Mhm.
it's a matter of survival for, let's just say, non-ethnic people, the quote unquote majority in North America, right? Or Caucasians. They're on an extinction level. You know what I mean? What it comes
Mhm.
down to, they by um what's the word? Interracial, like
Oh, just like
production.
how,
Like
okay.
like interracial couples are reproducing now at a rate of interracial getting together. Caucasians have about 300, 350 years max on this planet before they are totally extinct and gone. And that's scientific fact,
Mhm.
right? Because they measure this, right? There's 7 billion people on the face of the earth. So basically, what it comes down to is Caucasian or extinction levels. So they have to reduce our population in order to survive.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna even get into all of that. I just
No, we
stated
can't.
that as a yeah as a placement. Okay,
Right.
for this
To
is that
explain, yeah.
now the other part of it is that the Rockefellers, all the families, the Star Chamber family. What it comes down to, they control 9% of the world wealth.
Right.
These five families, right? So what it comes down to is that anybody who has gone against them within 5 years they've gone to war. If you're not a part of the IMF, the World Bank, any of those things, any of those are, if a country is not involved or is independent of them, like China, like what they did now did to what's the last war they just had, Syria,
Okay. Hmm.
right?
Well,
If
they're
you look at
still,
it, if you
yeah.
think about it, if you look at it, there's only four more countries that are independent and they're Arab states of the World Bank or IMF. A country, you know, is independent. Look what happened with Gaddafi. He was about to go, make his own dollar. What did they do? They displaced them. They went to war with them. They found a reason to go to war with them. Gaddafi was murdered, right?
Hmm.
Every time that there's a country that is independent or goes against the World
Right.
Bank or IMF, they go to war. It's they're terrorists. They go to war. They displace them. They put their dictator in place, and voila. So
Hmm.
now we're down to five countries in the world that are not part of the IMF or the World Bank. What's going to happen? You're going to see.
Hmm.
So it's just one of those things is that that's where all, and you got to remember you have the alliance of France, Israel, British, and USA. They're the alliance that always are in war, right?
Hmm.
Causing the wars. They're always going to other countries, displacing all those countries. And at the end of the day, what it comes down to, it's all run by the IMF or the World Bank. It's all funded by them, and they have the NATO peace officers, quote unquote peace, NATO, but those are just
What they're
basically
really,
infiltrators that go
yeah.
into countries. Yeah, they go into countries. They're
To
supposed to be
control and.
peacemakers,
Hmm.
right? But they go in, they spy, they have
Hmm.
clearance to go into every world, and then they make the decision. And then what happens? U.S. or England or France or Israeli say we're going to war, and then those four back each other, and then Canada gets drawn into it some way somehow, and then everybody else is drawn into it and becomes a world war.
And on that note, we're going to end our lesson on war. This is too depressing and scary. Not scary
Right.
because I mean the good thing is you got to be aware, and I mean knowledge is power, right? And so once you
All right.
know, but it's also frustrating when you know that a lot of what we're told and shown and taught even in our schools and beyond, when you realize that it's all a part of a bigger plan that really has nothing to do with us as individuals, it's frustrating. And then you think, okay, like how do
Exhausting.
you
Yeah.
work around it, not work with it, get out, and you're kind of stuck. I mean, this is like, okay, and we're not going to go into this, but I've even had a friend that I was speaking to, and he was saying, when he has children, he's like, he's not even filling out a birth that form in the hospital. He made no, I think he said he even bringing his child to the hospital. Like they're not even having it, and
Oh
the
yeah.
child's going to be off the grid. But I'm like, okay, at some point, if you're going to stay in this system here, in this North American
Yeah.
system, it's very difficult to do that. I mean, I don't know once
Well,
your
they've
child
made it
hits a certain
illegal.
age. Hmm?
Yeah. Well, remember they've made it illegal for your child not to get The
You
what's it called?
need,
Gunshots.
yeah, you
Eh,
need that. I mean, you can't be in the public school
no,
system
right.
without all your shots. And I mean, it's all on your form and your card and everything like that. But I mean, there's things that you get. But basically, I mean, his explanation was once you sign that, you're signing your child over to the state. Like you
The
basically
state,
sign
yeah,
them over to the state, and this is why they can walk into your house at any point and under children aid or whatever. We've had reports or we've had calls, and so we're just
yeah.
coming in, and they can actually just take your child. And who do you call? Who do you go
Well,
to?
that's
Nobody. You know what I
exactly
mean?
it
So
is.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
the law of
starts there.
capitals.
Yeah, so it starts there, and
Yeah.
I mean that's like we said, it's a much bigger, deeper issue. But I just think it's yeah, it's kind of to start, and this is where ignorance is bliss. It's like we know it, you learn it, and I think at some point a lot of young people, we get into that like in your mid to late teens, and you start learning things, and then that's when the anger, and then that's when you're ready to rise up and stand for something and you know what I mean, fight the powers that be kind of thing. And then at some point you realize just how exhausting that is, and you're like, shoot, I just need to work and attain certain things in this society and have a family and be able to take care of them and provide a little protection under all these things that we're forced to buy, or insurance and all this stuff. And then before you know it, you're sucked into it, and I think it's a story a lot of people can relate to. So props out to the people who stick with the struggle, or not
Mhm.
struggle, they stick with the fight, let's put it that way. And they're pushing along to make changes. Something else happened, but I don't have too much detail. Actually, before I go into that, Meek Mill, I don't know if I wanted to tie this to the original story of Manchester, is that
Yeah,
Meek Mill actually is now being sued. Him and
dude.
the
Yeah,
venue where he had a concert where a couple of young men were shot and killed.
I thought it was a girl and a guy.
No, sorry. You know what?
Really?
No, I think no, there were people that were killed, two people that were killed, and then another
Hmm.
two that were injured. So I don't know who the
Okay,
female,
maybe. Okay,
but
yeah, yeah.
the the names of the people that were killed is Travis and Jaquan, right? Travis and
Okay,
Jaquan, and they were like,
yeah.
well, 31-year-old and a 20-year-old, and so now Meek Mill and the venue, like I said, the theater where the show was being held, have been named in the lawsuit, and they I think it's the families of the victims, and they are basically saying that they were negligent, and they didn't provide adequate security at the venue. So,
But more
you know,
importantly, what yeah, but what actually, what the one that freaked me out,
Mhm.
part of that lawsuit was what I was reading when you sent the article, was that they're saying that his lyrics incite violence, so that's why therefore he's responsible as well.
And that to me is another level, and that's total
Hmm.
uh, BS. I'm thinking, okay, regardless of if you believe that, if you're if this 25-year-old or well, no, I guess I shouldn't say that against the family and who's doing this, but everybody, I mean, and forget even the adult situation, because being 18, and like children at 16 they get to choose what they want to listen to, and 15. And but if you feel so strongly, because I don't know if it's the same, I don't know if it's the same, sorry, I don't know if it's the same the family members that are suing, that it must be, that have included that part. But I'm thinking, if you were concerned about that,
You wouldn't have sent your child there to begin with.
right, then your child, mind you, these were adults, they were
Adults, yeah.
people that can make their own decision. And I guess they're not speaking about their family members being moved to violence by the lyrics, because they wouldn't, of course not. They wouldn't say, their own family members who ended up killed were in there inciting violence. You know what I mean? But the same would apply to your family. So if someone else can be moved to do violent things or shoot people based on lyrics, then I guess you're saying the same thing about your family, which no one would say. So to me, that just cancels that argument out. And then on top of it, you can't, like a man, I mean, yes, I believe some lyrics, there are people that live, breathe, and drink and sleep their artists and they know every lyric and they listen to it. But I think if your life is balanced out and you have other things going on in your life and you're not all about lyrics and acting out lyrics, I don't think that's the majority of people. So this is where that argument is just weakened. I mean, and for other reasons, but this is where I
You know,
just like, how could you really use that? But I mean, obviously for a lawsuit and trying to get some money, they're
well, I
gonna
think
say
that's
what.
what it is. I just think they're looking for any excuse because lyrics have been used to imprison or
Mhm,
convict you know rappers in the past. They use any excuse to like to go at us. But my thing is this, right?
mhm.
Is that can 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 lyrics influence somebody? Younger clientele. Yes, just like video games can, just like anger, just your own anger issues can incite you to do whatever it is. Is it necessarily your responsibility? Like I live on the rap or trap is sometimes I guess super, what's the word? I'm a loss of words today, but they're blowing up like they're super exaggerated.
Okay,
They
yeah,
might
the
have
lyrics with what they're
lyrics
actually.
have been super exaggerated. Like, I was moving pounds and I got $100 billion when they really have, rocks and they have $1,000. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I'm sure that a strong believer that the lyrics, the music, hip hop reflects reality, not not necessarily perpetuates it. Are 14, 15-year-olds influential? Of course, every kid is influential. So can it influence their idol or sings? Yes. Is it the parents' responsibility to monitor what their kids are listening to? Yes. Pick up their iPhone, pick up their device, put it in lyrics of what their kids are, and tell your kids whether they can listen to that or not. Because 9 times out of 10, I guarantee you, 10 parents do not even know, because they can't stand the music, know what their kids are listening to.
Mhm. But good luck with
It
that.
amazes,
Good luck with that.
yeah,
That's not happening. And I mean,
but the
unless you
fact
have
remains
your,
is even at least know the content of
but
what your
even
kid
if
is
you
listening to.
do, I think even if you do, unless you're gonna have your child under lock and key, like chained up with no device, and
Right.
you're able and you're walking them to school and you're gonna make sure that even in between class, they're not gonna be exposed to someone else's
Oh,
device.
they're gonna hear from their kids. They're gonna
Exactly.
hear it on
They're
the
gonna,
internet.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
yeah.
it's just ridiculous. So I think
But at
parents,
least know the content of what you're listening. Like, know the titles of these songs. Like,
well,
you
if
know
you
what?
know, that's a good start. I mean, as far as having a conversation maybe and like going over it. But
Yeah.
obviously, like, let me tell you, you know, speaking to a teenager, obviously someone who majority are normal, quote unquote, balanced kids that are into different things, and you speak to them and you say, okay, speaking to them about what they're listening to is one part of it and a very small part of it. And obviously, if they have any type of sense and they're going to say, no, of course, I just listen to this. I don't listen to that much. And you say what you are going to say to please your parents or like please
Right.
their ear.
Exactly.
And then as a parent, you're just like, okay, thank God. And you're just happy and that's it because you want to hear and you're going to take what they tell you. But
Mhm.
the more important thing is knowing where your kid is, what they're
Yes, yeah.
doing, who they're with, going into their room and digging up. I don't care. You got to go and you search. Mind you, I don't do that as much as I should. I don't really
I
do
do
it.
believe in.
I don't really do it,
I
but
do.
I need to really start and seeing what it is they are and see what they're doing and see where they're at, because speaking to them is one thing. I mean, actions are the truth. You know what I mean? People can tell you
Well, I
whatever
think
they want to tell you.
yeah. I think what it comes down to is that, you know what, you got to teach your kids self-value and respect and manners. And yes, they
Exactly.
well, you know what it comes down to, if you teach them that they're valuable, and that, you know, they're worth something, and that you hold them to a higher standard because, you know, you are of a higher standard. Like, again, what you input into their brain will dictate who they are. And then we're talking about normal healthy kids. We're not talking about unstable kids or
Yeah.
drugged up kids, or,
Or
you
with
know,
major issues or
whatever it is.
right.
We're just talking about
That
the
need a
majority of
little
kids.
more.
Yeah, like, you know what? I strongly believe that consequences are important, but also rewards are important. You know what I mean? Like, not to, you know, to do something to get a reward, but in terms of when they do a good job, praise and recognition is important. To be a stand up, that you have to live that life, like, you know, you have to live the way that they want, because they will emulate you. You know, like
Mhm.
things of that nature. All those things are important. The foundation, you know, it takes a village to raise a child. Make sure that they know what the project is. You know, what's there. Take away the glamour glitz of the projects. You know, take away the glamour glitz of alcohol and you know, drugs. Let, you know, show them the downside of it. Show them what a fiend looks like. You know,
Mhm. No, and
take them
this
in
is where
project.
I was going to with just being like real talk. And so not about
Yeah,
one aspect of it, but about their whole life. And one part is knowing
yeah,
what your child's up to, because like I said, they'll tell you whatever. But
right.
yes, I think, and it's funny because I heard on something earlier just today, same thing. There was a program I was watching and they were saying, you know, I want my child to be a part of this particular sport or training, because it taught me discipline and all this great stuff. And
Oh,
this
that was
parenting expert this parenting expert basically said, but no, but the child is not showing any interest in what this mother had done in her childhood. And so he was like, no, 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 you don't need to send your child out to anything or any like major, um, like training or structure. Like it's in the home and it's in the little things, just like you were saying. So when they do things right, like, you know, take the time to fix the trash can, take it out, take out the garbage, or do their part, that's where you acknowledge it and say, okay, thanks for being like maybe you don't use the exact words, but you know what I
yeah.
mean? Thanks for, you know, recognizing that needed to be done despite you were probably in a rush to do something else or get on your phone or whatever. But you know, you took the time out to do what you need to do. And so good,
Well,
you
you
know,
know what?
thank you. And
You know what?
recognize that, like as you were saying.
I think, you know what, my mom had an amazing approach with me, and it stuck with me to this day. In terms of, um, you know, what she basically said to me was this: look, be proactive, get all your homework out of the way. Then you have, like, you know what? Like, we basically said, look, you have 5 days of school. This is a simple example. You have 5 days of school. So why don't you go to your teacher, ask them what all the chapters are, take 2 days out, finish all your work, and you have 3 days to play. Because when it comes down to it, your homework's done, you know, everything's done. If I ask you what's this, you could be like, you're ahead of time. So what it comes down to is like that translated in life for me. It's like, you know what? It's like tricked me, gave me. It's like,
Hmm.
you know, tricked me to trick you, gave me tricks that it actually ended up tricking me in life and gave me a life hack. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like one of those things where it's like, you know, she'd be like, you know, go to your teacher, ask her, you know, for
Lost
your
you there.
homework for, you know,
Lost you there.
oh, sorry, like go to your teacher, ask her for, you know, your whole week's homework, what you're going to study, all your chapters, get all that stuff out of the way, your math homework, get it all out of the way, get ahead of the curve. And then what will happen is you have 3 days of playing video games and doing everything you need to do. Just get all your chores out of the way, get all your homework out of the way, and then you can go out there and play for, you know, while everybody's stuck, you're finished.
If
So
it
it
works
kind
like
of,
that, because a lot of parents are like, teachers like, no, 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 you work on my schedule, working on
yeah,
your own.
well, but
But
you
I
know
get
what
what
though?
you're
But that's
saying.
where a
But and
parent,
then
that's
a
where a parent
teacher,
steps in and says, you know what, if my
well,
child
not
wants to do
really,
it,
because if that's how they have it set up, that's how it's going to be.
yeah,
But it can't hurt
yeah.
because
Well, it worked for me.
if a
That's what I'm trying to
teacher,
say. Yeah,
no, but what I'm saying is it can't even hurt because even you going to the teacher and being proactive like that and saying and then showing that interest, the teacher will recognize you and say, "Oh, this kid is, special. This kid really
right.
wants." So even if it doesn't work out exactly
And,
like that,
yeah,
it can only help. You know what I mean? And
and yeah, exactly.
if it helps the teacher
And
looking at it a certain way, but I
I
think
might give you bonus points, like might even give you bonus,
exactly
like because like this kid was ahead of the schedule, blah blah blah, and then you do a test, and be like whatever it is, but then because you relish in their system, they might give you a bly, and instead
true,
of give you half a mark, give you a full mark,
true, 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 true. But
which can
yeah. So I think what we're both basically saying is developing the whole person, and then um, that can go out into the world, and because there's images and negativity and drama all around. And I mean, now, like I've said before, it's actually in the home. Once upon a time, like you could try to guard your child from the bad behavior or bad company or anything like that outside of your home. But now, when they're in their room on their devices,
right.
you don't know who they're talking to. They could be talking to anybody that you've banned them
True.
from. They can be watching anything, a movie that they couldn't go see in the theater. Now they can download it because they
True.
have, you know what I mean? So it's like you just have to, like you were saying, just like
Let
develop
them
your
be
child.
themselves. And
Yeah,
yeah,
develop your child so they can't, I mean, they could face whatever life throws at
well,
them,
it's all those things, right? It's
right?
self-value. It's also be a leader, not a follower.
Mhm,
All those things stuck. Like don't let anybody pull you into trouble. You think for yourself. Like
mhm.
all those things.
They
Those are
add up.
things that,
Yep.
yeah, they stick with you for the rest of your life. Like you know,
No, it's true.
you know my mom. A lot of people, I may have some controversies with her because I mean we all, no matter what, we all get into our dirt. But the one thing I can say is this: I could go to my mom and say, "Mom, you know what? I murdered somebody." She'd say, "Go get the shovel. Go get this, and this. After
Mhm,
this, I'm gonna kick your." You know what I mean? But I could literally go to my mom with anything. Not that I have, or but like said that we murdered somebody. But the fact remains is, if I had murdered somebody or something happened, I was never scared to go to my mom and talk to my mom.
mhm.
She was my biggest bodyguard, my biggest protector. Like I felt safe talking to her. Whereas a lot of parents, children, they don't want to talk to their parents. They can't.
Mhm.
You know,
That's big,
it,
yeah.
it was yeah, like for me, I could go to my mom and tell her anything, like a real talk, anything, and she'd be like, "We work out," and she'd be like, "I raised you better than this," or
Mhm,
like it's just one of those things. Whereas don't bring no police to my door. Don't
mhm,
call me if you get in trouble. Be smart. You know, one anecdote that really sticks with me, that throughout my life, that I kind of developed over the years, is basically, you know what and it was because of basically her teachings. I came up with this anecdote myself, and I've posted it a couple times on Instagram and stuff of that nature. And it's one of part of my life codes. And it's either, when you get up in the morning, either you can be a blessing to your race or a disgrace to your race. But
mhm,
whichever one you choose, make sure you're the best damn one and nobody bests you in it. So if
mhm,
you're gonna be a disgrace, you're gonna be, or you're gonna be a criminal, whatever it is, make sure you're gonna be the best criminal there is, and nobody's gonna is gonna beat you in it. Or you be a credit to your race and a credit to your mother, and make sure nobody beats you at
mhm,
it.
mhm,
But because of her teachings and because of her guidance and her quote unquote friendship, because my mom always said, "Me and you ain't sides, we ain't friends,"
mhm,
but I could go to my mom as a friend and talk to her. In fact, my mom is probably one of my best friends, if not my best friend. But the fact remains is that, because of her guidance and teachings and things like that, as small as she was, and quote unquote as uneducated as she was in school,
mhm, mhm.
she was very educated in life and had a lot of wisdom. She's a very smart woman, right?
Mother's Day
So
every
just
day on cake.
yeah.
We celebrate mothers. So I was about to
Right?
ask you, like,
But
is
real
it?
like
No, I'm kidding. But no,
no, but real
that's
talk.
no,
I'm
and I
saying,
mean, I
no,
all children should be able to, or no matter what their age, it would be ideal if we could speak about our mothers like that. I can say the same. I would say, yeah, there's in a way with the mother-daughter relationship, there could have been things that my mother could have been a little more helpful with
right?
me, but now as a mother to a young woman coming up, there are certain things that you just have to go through in your own experiences. You have to go through for yourself to really know. And I mean, as much as I'd like to guard her and protect her from some of the BS out there that's waiting, um, there's only so much of that I can do, and I'm gonna have to be very strategic in how I do it. But I think just developing her as a person, and I'm kind of confident she'll be able to deal with certain situations anyway. But we all we all fall at one point. So, but
Hmm. Well, that's what I'm saying. You as a kid, we went through dirt, right? Like, I mean, we have to find our way. But the best thing you can do as a parent is teach them self value, like
yep,
especially with
that
girls. We're like,
starts.
you know what,
Yeah.
like one of those things is like, what, look, if they don't have a father in their life, then use the next best thing, or you as a mother, like, when it comes out to sex, it's like, what, look, you tell your child, you don't run from your child and say, I'm not going to talk to him about sex. No, you say, look, boys are going to say this, they're going to say that, they're going to tell you everything in the world, but use me as a measuring stick. If you don't have a father in your life, say to that child, like, look, I'm your measuring stick. If they don't treat you as good as me or better than me, then that's not the boy for you, because nobody loves you as much as me. So it's like, what, and it's things like that. Like, especially we have to develop our little girls, because we all know that boys will come with every lyric in the book and try every guilt trip in the book. I was one of them. You know what I mean? Coming up, anything to our girls, but these are boys that are not being raised properly. We see other influences, negative influences, like pimps and drug dealers, and smooth talk and movies and all this stuff. That's where we get our training from, right? Especially if you grew up in the projects and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So that is, and it's a vicious cycle.
Well, my plan for that, and I don't know if it'll work, but one of my loose plans is l- make her as comfortable as possible speaking to me about
Right?
things,
Anything.
relationships, and yeah, so far so good, but even relationships more specific to that. And then yeah, speaking to her from my point of view, giving her my advice, but at the end of the day, knowing that, what, empowering her, letting her know I trust you in this decision, but letting her bring it to me, because then I could squash stuff too, and I could just be like, no, and I'll break it down, and I'll tell her like,
Yeah.
now I think this is, and that's pretty much like just in making her comfortable enough to come to me and share these things, and not ever make her feel bad about anything that she's thinking or questioning me about and things like that. So I think but to switch before we wrap, because we're going to wrap the show a little earlier than most of our shows. Um but did I mention that the link was up? Well, the link has been posted. I posted it early, and I did say I was going to post it early. So it's on both the Vex Radio page and the YouTube page. So for anybody listening who might want to call in and give a comment on anything we've talked about so far, feel free. You just need Google Hangouts. Um, and then you can just click the link that's posted online on the Vex Radio Cake page or our YouTube page. But okay, so what is it? Game 4, I believe, is being played. Game 4
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the
NBA final.
NBA Finals, the East Coast. So Cleveland, Boston, and so proud of
Oh
Boston the
yeah,
other night for
East
taking
San
that
Francisco
one
Suns.
because when everybody had counted them out, which I am proud to say I
Right?
did not, because I don't know. I mean, I wasn't going to put my neck on the line for them, but I really thought, okay, they had to, and they did. So, but couple things, and because Cleveland, I think I've made it clear I'm really not into Cleveland. Um,
Right?
as a team, as a city, nothing. I'm just not. And one thing that bothers me about them, and people will like, okay, no, I don't watch every single NBA game and I don't see every team and how they carry on. I watch a few that I'm interested in. But when I do watch Cleveland, something that really irritates me about them is this practice of basically celebrating mid-game their own little highlights, like on mid floor, like in the middle of the floor during the game. And I'm thinking, and the way they carry on is like it's beyond just team love and and all this stuff. It's like it's just so disrespectful to me to the other team.
Team.
And
Right?
I just think I'm like, no, the league needs to just kind of control this. And this would go for any team. And I'm talking not just on the sidelines, like in your space, like okay, you could be excited and stand up and high five, do all their little foolishness that they do and cheer and everything like that. But I'm talking about when they come onto the floor and even LeBron the other day with the whole beer thing, taking a beer from the crowd and acting like he was going to drink it and all this stuff. It's just like, to me, it's just like borderline just foolishness. And I bring this up
Well,
because the NFL, the
yeah.
NFL has actually loosened their rule
I'm glad.
against
I'm glad for that.
against this, the
I,
celebrating the
that
touchdown, right? Uh,
yeah, that's a big part of the game. That
which
is like
it is, and I think that's a totally different. I think that's totally different in the way of once there is a touchdown, that ends that play. Like there's an end, there's a full
yeah,
stop, and
right.
before they set up to switch sides or whatever you call it and start again. And a touchdown is pretty major because it's not like a basket where how many baskets do you have in a game? Like 40, 50 baskets you can have in a game. You know what I mean? Whether they're uh
Yeah.
like free throws or actual shots, whatever. And then these guys will carry on like someone hits an amazing three, yes, but it doesn't mean you got to be in the middle of the floor. Anyway, so
You
yeah,
know, my
but the funny thing is about the NFL, so now they've loosened it so people can start dancing and doing their thing. Except for one of the things on the list, the I think they said still no twerking, and I'm like, good lord, and that's why I posted the picture that I did
well,
on
thank God for
Instagram.
that.
'Cause I'm
I'm,
thinking, but I'm like,
I'm,
okay, for real, did they? I'm wondering if they actually use the word twerking in the
don't
official
kill
like
me.
rule book. That would be crazy. But what were
I
you gonna say?
work. I don't want to see no man twerk.
And I know you watch, like you're big
Yeah,
into football, aka soccer.
yeah,
So do they celebrate? Like, how do they carry on? Like, I've watched
yeah.
just the
Like
big
that's what I'm
games.
saying. That's part of it. Okay, like we're for football and North American football or soccer and football. The goals are extremely hard. It's not like they come a dime a dozen like basketball, like as you said, every two thing. So I mean,
Exactly.
all sports, it doesn't matter. I think celebration should be in order because what happens is, you know what? Each player has their own signature, and if you like that player, you can join in on that signature move and it brings you closer to the game, right? Because
Mhm.
whatever it is, like and they do that in football, whether it's sprinkling salt, whether it's kissing or whatever their sleep their team or you know what I mean or whatever it may be,
I mean,
sliding on
Bolt
the
has his
grass.
move. Oh,
Yeah,
Bolt has his move. You know
a
what I
ball.
mean?
That's what I'm
So,
saying. Nothing wrong with
right.
celebrating a victory or celebrate an impossible goal, but when it comes down to, you know what, if you do a wicked dunk, okay,
Yeah.
celebrate it. If you know what, like tell you the truth, I get more enjoyment when they kind of like they do that dunk and then they kind of walk away but look at that player like, oh, like you
Mhm.
know what I mean, like
Mhm.
ooh, like or they look at their teammate like they shrug their shoulder like a little like, oh man, like you know what I mean,
Mhm. Mhm.
like
Mhm.
I die laughing because of that when they get all cocky and they,
Mhm.
like when as I said, like when Teron Lou got stepped over,
Man.
you know what I mean, stuff like that, that to me, I died with laughter because it was nasty, right? It was
Mhm.
cocky, but when you're just doing a simple bucket and stuff like that, or you're carrying on, like where you now run away, like you're 30 points or 20 points over the
Right.
team, and you're like that is unsportsmanlike conduct. Like if
And
you're if you're
there's
if
the
you're
word,
beating up
and
a team,
there's the word, and
yeah.
I think, and I see that so much, and it's not just because I'm a Cleveland hater, um, because I love. No, I give LeBron his respect as a player, but when it comes down to that type of stuff, I think LeBron, come on, man, you're bigger than that. You are key
But they
to
also
this league.
kids.
You're key to this
They're
game.
kids.
They are, but
These,
LeBron is no kid. You know what I mean? He's a grown man with a wife and three beautiful children and beautiful wife,
mhm.
and
But
he's
these are
doing
young
major
adolescent men
things.
that's been in the spotlight all
Yes.
their life. It's kind of like you growing up in front of
No,
the
I think
camera.
it's sports. I think it's
There's a
men
lot
in
of
sports. I think
immaturity.
it's men in sports. I think men
Yeah,
lose it. Whether you're, and not just men. I think anybody that's really like a sports fanatic, like really into
yeah.
the game and everything like that. And so I give you that moment, as far as, because I mean, how many times have you been at home or out with people, you guys are watching something and
Yeah,
you're all sitting there and then something happens and you're all to your feet like holy holding your head and doing all kind of
yeah.
stuff because it was crazy. I get that, but I just think,
Right.
and the opposite, because this has been so a friend of mine's like, okay, you're never satisfied because the opposite is the Spurs. I'm like, can you guys show a little emotion? Can you show something? Like, I understand how legit your team is and your pro, like, but just, oh my gosh, like show a little emotion. Show me that you're human and you're not just like mechanic, like freaking robots, like taught
Yeah, my
plays
boy,
and
my boy.
so somewhere I think just in between and pick up Golden State. I think they got
Yeah.
it. I think they're very classy how they carry on. And
Honestly, wait, like my boy,
mhm,
he's he's a Spurs fanatic. Like Akem,
mhm,
shout out. Um, he is like he's diehard Spurs, and you know what? We've had this thing. I was like, I hate your team's playoff build. You're boring. You're straight fundamental.
yep,
But see, the thing is, his argument is this, and I cannot argue the fact.
right,
He said it. He was straight. Look, when it comes to the playoffs, they're built for the playoffs. They make it to the playoffs. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to, they are basketball purists.
yes, yep.
And when you say that
It's
as
done.
a
It's
fan,
yeah.
you're all around the day. You cannot say like I'm not a Spurs fan. I actually lost a bet to him. Like when my crew bets, we bet for pride. We don't bet for money because that's too easy. What we
Hmm,
do is
hmm,
we bet for pride.
hmm.
What happens is normally like what I have to do. Everybody that knows me or follows me knows I'm an Arsenal fan. Like my boy Howard, he's a Chelsea fan. I have to wear a Chelsea jersey to a Chelsea pub and root against and like not root against my team, but I have to wear a Chelsea. That's like
And go for Chelsea, whoever they're playing.
yeah, no. I have to know and root for Chelsea against the Arsenal team. So it's like that's like that's pride. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's fun.
I listen. I'm not even a fan. I'm not even like a fan of anybody. But to tell me to put on anything Cleveland, and I'm not even half as deep as you are into your world there. So I can
No, that's what I'm saying. Like you don't understand how much
only know.
that hurts.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
hurts
yeah,
my feelings. So
yeah.
it's like the same thing. Like I'm a diehard Knicks fan. For somebody telling me to put on a Cleveland or a LeBron jersey,
Hmm.
oh man. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's like I had to
Yeah,
put on.
yeah,
I lost a couple years ago, and I
yeah,
had to wear a Spurs jersey. You know what I mean?
yeah.
A Tim Duncan jersey, and I
Hmm.
was like, and the fact remains, you have to take your money, go buy a jersey for a team that you hate, and
Wow.
wear it,
Mm,
and you cannot root for your team.
you're good.
But that's what makes it fun. That's
Of
like
course,
you,
of
you know
course,
what I mean. You get
of
all year,
course.
all season, it's like you have something real, and they're taking pictures. You
On the
know
line. Yep.
that it's gonna be
That's
plastered
historic.
all
Yeah.
over the internet. You can never get rid of that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so, it's just like that's why we, we. I don't know how many other people do that, but we have fun with it. Like I said, money's too easy.
True.
We
True.
go for pride. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. No, that's dope. The more people
so
should do
you have
that.
yeah, so you have an emotional attachment to it. You know what I mean? Like all season,
Has
Howard
anyone
was
ever
blasting
refused?
me.
Has anyone ever refused to do it?
You can't. You get beat.
Okay.
Right?
Because that wouldn't be
No, but
fun.
you have
Yeah,
to
it
honor your
wouldn't be
best. So
right.
that's what I'm trying to say is like,
Yeah.
coming back to the discussion, it's just unsportsmanlike. Like if you're beating up a team, then have respect for your opponent. But at the end of the day, what you do learn is that when you do that to a team comes back mad as bees, and normally
Mm.
they can end up winning a game against you.
But I find Cleveland, whatever game I've watched, and this is what sickens me about them, to be honest, as like just because I've said it before. I mean, the team without LeBron, like, yeah, I mean, Kyrie's nice, like he's really good, nice. Like I'm not downplaying him and everybody on the team. Like I mean, they're in the NBA, they're there for a reason. I don't take this away from them. But let's really keep it real.
Take
And
LeBron out of that
some of them need to just
equation.
calm down a
Right.
little because when you're no longer like it's but I mean I get
You
enjoying it
gotta
in the
remember
moment
something.
because it is what it is. But you know
Yeah.
what? And at the same time though, and LeBron, this is stuff even when he was on Miami and I was like hard cheering for Miami and I still defend LeBron. I still big up
Yeah.
LeBron to this day, even though he's on that team. But then when he's I don't know if you heard this. You probably saw it because I saw when he said it um, in the press room after
Not
the
back.
loss, and one of the reporters was asking him about the loss, and then not answering the question really. And then LeBron's like, you only ask us questions when we lose. Like you only step up when we lose. And I'm like, okay, LeBron, like what are you implying? And I mean, I was even thinking, I think you just had like an 11 game win straight. Like, so when's the last time you lost? Like, why are you even thinking about,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Well, you know what?
And even if this is this man's agenda, who cares? Like, he's
That is
there to ask you that question. Then he's here to ask you questions when you lose. Maybe some people only question you when you win. And is that what you want? So I'm thinking, LeBron, you can't have it your way
both
both.
ways.
Like,
Yeah.
you can't have it
See,
all. Like, you got to
there,
take. And then no, what I did not know this until recently. What he did to like a fan, or I guess I don't
yeah.
when he questioned this person was kind of saw him after the game and was saying whatever they were talking to him,
Whatever
and
you
then
know.
right,
Yeah.
and then he questioned this person, oh, do you have your resume? And like questioning this fan, this regular average Joe that was kind of like, I guess, going in on him about losing. And then he turns around and asks this person, do you have a resume? And yeah, I don't think so. And like, what do you do? And who are you to question me? And I'm thinking, okay, LeBron, now you're taking it off the court and you're taking this to just a regular person who does not have your credentials, that really can't talk to you about basketball, but you're letting them draw you out like that. Like I was like, LeBron, come on, man.
Have
Like you,
class. Yeah. Like
yeah. And I mean, things
what?
like that, it's just like
But you got to remember, he's the media darling. He is, he is the NBA darling. He's the NBA star player. So he gets preferential treatment, and now it's gotten to the point where it's gone beyond. It's become narcissism. Like, you know what? When you are pardon me, I'm about to sneeze, so give me a sec.
and you won't. Well, if you're anything like me. Oh, you did. Listen, when I have to sneeze and I know that sneeze is
Yeah.
coming, that sneeze does not come. Did it come?
No, it didn't come actually. I
Exactly, but
looked at the
it'll
light.
come.
You ever hear look at a light? Look up at a light. That's what they say. But no,
Oh,
when it
really?
comes down to,
Okay.
yeah, they say if you're about to sneeze, look up at a light.
I didn't do that, and I never do that. I
Um,
love the feeling of sneezing.
yeah,
It's like one of the best feelings in the world.
it's an
Okay.
orgasm, next to
It
orgasm. But
is. It,
anyway,
like
yeah,
natural thing.
it's not even yeah.
No, it
What
is.
they say is that you gotta remember he's the NBA darling, but now LeBron has gone beyond being the media darling, being the NBA centerpiece. He is now is narcissistic. It's gotten to his head. He's a young man that's been in front of the camera all his life, and now he feels entitled. Right? It
Listen,
happens to the
LeBron is
best of guys.
so way past that.
But yeah,
LeBron, but
no, but
guess
he's not though. Obviously, he's not. Like,
No, I
he's
mean,
supposed to be, but
no, I
obviously
mean,
he's
to
not.
be affected by the
Yeah,
cameras and all the
but
attention.
he's not, because that's what I'm
Exact,
trying to
but
say. It's built a monster,
I
right?
think no, what I'm saying is it's beyond that now, and it's like other.
It's narcissism. Exactly. I'm saying he's a
It's
narcissistic individual now.
yes, yes, and I
Right?
agree. But I think no, I'm just gonna reduce it down to you're showing like you're showing some sore loser stuff
You're showing
because
your ass.
you
That's it.
one game you lost to Boston and you
Yeah.
like you're going off like this. It's like come on, LeBron, you take the loss, but
Yeah.
whatever. And in the meantime, Golden State, well, they hadn't at that point, but the following night
Yeah.
they
Well, no, but
took the
remember, Golden
West.
State was sweet.
Yeah,
They
they took the
swept us
West.
first.
And
So at the end of the
oh,
day, yeah,
speaking of that, the other thing with Smith, J.R. Smith in Boston, I guess it was game 2, and he's there talking to a fan basically and doing the whole sweep motion like yeah you're getting swept in, and I'm thinking, and he's on the floor mid-game doing this to a fan, and I'm thinking just how classless and tasteless
yeah.
that is like. And this is, and I'm talking, and I'm not, I mean, I'm using these examples because these are the games that are currently happening right now. It happens with other players, it happens in other cities, of course, but I'm thinking you guys are the current champs, the NBA champs. You're the Eastern Conference Final champ, like from last year, obviously, and you're carrying on like this. It's like no,
But
I
actually, what that was what I was trying to say. But I'd gotten sidetracked. I was beginning to say about that. I was gonna
sorry.
say, look, there's another aspect to this whole thing though that we haven't examined. And by all means, everybody knows I'm not a LeBron fan because of who he is, not of his ability. I think he's a phenomenal player, but who he is as a person, I'm not a fan. But what it comes down to is this: is that part of the psychology of any sport. First of all, you're the champs. You have bragging rights. Part of that psychology in beating other teams is to remind people that you are the champs. That's A. So when you're going into it, you're like, we're the champs. Who are we? Like, kind of, you can't. You're not as good as us because we all know self-doubt is the first break in the link of breaking down your opponent. If they doubt, if they're like, these guys are champs, and they come to beat us, and they're blowing us up by 30, and they're celebrating. You know what? You get demoralized on that quarter. You get demoralized on that field. What happens is you become non-competitive.
Mhm.
So I understand the psychology behind it and the
Yeah,
bragging
I
rights
get
behind
it,
it. Why they
and
do it?
LeBron gets it. LeBron knows.
Yeah, because it is a psychological game. Any
Mhm.
aspect of winning, whether it's chess, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, whether it's or North American football, whether it's cricket, whatever it is,
Yep.
it's a
I mean,
psychological
boxing's
game.
huge,
Yeah,
like tennis.
boxing.
I
Yeah,
mean, one-on-one. Yeah,
right.
definitely. But I
So
think
I get it, but it comes to a point where it becomes classless now. Once you've
exactly.
gotten into their head, fine. But when you continue to stomp and celebrate in mid form and things of that nature, as I said, it could go one or two ways. I've seen teams just like what happened. They whipped other teams' asses and then they come back and get beat
Mhm.
because sometimes these teams get self pride. It goes the other way. You don't get into their heads.
But here's the thing, and to me, there was video footage of Boston entering the uh, arena or wherever they were playing um, in Cleveland for that game, game 3, it would have been, right? And they came in and they had the look of defeat on them. And that's
Yeah,
what a lot of the comments said. Oh, they look like losers already. They look like they lost already. And I said, you know what? They can walk in how they want. This is pregame. This wasn't walking onto the court to play the game. This was like, you know, earlier in the day kind of thing. And I said, but the key is in the game. And that's,
yeah.
to me, I always say this is where you show off. This is how you brag. This is it. And especially in basketball where there's so much finesse and so much, I mean, it's in other sports as well. Like I have like someone who watches your sport too. That's like, oh, the footwork and all that. And it is amazing because whenever I have watched it,
It's a
I
beautiful
don't
game.
appreciate it as much, but
Yeah,
I do see um and in tennis, like in every sport, there's going to be this little way of showing off how you play mid game, and I think that's the beautiful way to do it, is show it on the court, show it in the game, and of course celebrate it a little after. But I just think the excessive spilling all, and I get what you're saying too, and I get, because LeBron is he understands the mentals of the game too, but it's like enough is enough. And if you could give it like that, then you could take a few questions and take some heckling from some fans, and you could, which
But that's part
he
of
needs
that's
to
my
work on.
point. Yeah.
He needs
No,
to
but
work on.
that's my point. You've been so narcissistic in your value that you don't realize that, you know what, that's part of the game. You as a professional player should never by any means interact with a fan to the extent of insulting them, because that's the person who's paid your check. Yeah, I get it.
Exactly.
You know, one person hasn't, like, you don't have a right as a fan to insult somebody. But when you're in the court, on mid court, it's a psychological game one way, it's a psychological game the other way as well, right? Fans are a big part of it. They have ownership, they have emotional ownership in the game. Like, they bought into you. They've purchased, you know what, a $3,000 ticket. Well, that's in Toronto only, but you know what I mean? You know, like your front row center court, whatever it is, whether it's a $1,500 ticket, whatever it is, you have an emotional attachment because you've ridden with your team for 82 or 84 games, whatever it is,
To
plus
it.
the playoffs.
Mhm.
You've ridden with your team. So in a sense, you feel that you have ownership and right to address the players, because what, you're untouchable, you're not a human. Like, yeah, like, you know
Exactly.
what, you as a
Mhm.
professional player are supposed to uphold professionalism. Period. You're not supposed to sink to a drunk individual who's probably had far too many beers and stuff their
Exactly.
and insult them.
Exactly.
There is no excuse for
So
that.
so now that we know, Golden State has secured their spot officially, Cleveland is looks like, from where they're at right now, I think they're up by 11, and there's about a minute and a half left in this game, so they're probably going to take this one. Um, do you want to call? I mean, I think we might have another. Yeah, we'll have another
Yeah,
show
it's gonna be. It's
before.
definitely gonna. I thought. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be. It's definitely gonna be Golden State.
And Cleveland.
Cleveland, Cleveland. I couldn't even say their name with disgust, but I mean, listen, you know
do
what I mean,
you do you
it's
do you want to do this now, or you want to do it on a later show? You want to make your
no. I'll
prediction?
do it. I'm gonna call it. I believe
Mhm.
that, you know what, at the end of the day, if it comes to a three point, because right now Cleveland is a 3-point shooting team, Golden State is a 3-point shooting team, with both have no defense. It's going to come down to, but the one person they do have is Durant, who drives. I believe that it's going to be Golden State's going to win this, because like as I said,
But
who's it? No,
defense, you wouldn't put Golden State over them?
yeah, no, I'm saying the Golden State has better defense than
Okay, yeah.
than the Cleveland, because Cleveland
Yes.
doesn't have defense.
Okay, I thought you said both don't. So I was like
No, they
thinking,
both
okay,
don't have defense, but
but
Cleveland has a little better defense. I mean, sorry, Golden
go
State has a little
right.
better defense.
Okay.
But I'm saying
Yeah.
that the determining factor is this: comes out a 3-point shooting game, Splash
Yeah.
Brothers plus Durant are going to kill them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fact remains, Durant actually drives to the hole is going to
Yeah.
kill them. So
Yes.
that's why I say, like, they don't have any defense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just don't, like Cleveland. When I
Well,
say
there
they,
we
Cleveland.
go. I'm
So
agreeing with you. I mean, I agree with the outcome.
what? What?
Um,
What is happening? Crowd applause.
no, whatever. I mean, and I like, even if I did not think they could, I can never say that Cleveland is going to beat or is going to take it this year. I definitely think Golden State will.
Yeah.
And I really hope they do. And man, if we could get this NBA game chat together before I think it starts. I think the playoffs start June, like first June. I can't remember, but I think it's yeah, it's coming up. I don't know when you're going to be back. Anyway, so you're leaving, so I don't want to go into that too much, because I don't even know if we're going to be able to do that. But if we can get that done before the end of the playoffs, it would be interesting to hear some other people weigh in with their predictions as well. And I might start a poll of some type on our page so we can track it. So you're leaving soon. We're not giving
Yeah,
dates.
no,
You've already given
leaving.
location.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving Friday coming.
Oh Lord. Okay. And you
I
really
don't care.
you didn't have a plus one? Damn.
No.
Okay.
Yo,
And I would not be it.
Remember the Nettie argument? Nettie Nice, shout out Nettie Nice. Remember the whole Nettie thing is like you were kicking me out. Basically, I was like, I wasn't getting no love and I had to snap back. It's like, it's like, well, why would I give you
What?
a plus one? Remember we were talking about you saying like you need an assist, and I go, you know what? And you're like, yeah,
Oh,
first, you know what I mean? All that. Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well,
That's all right.
yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
start
well,
planning my own
I'm going
damn
to Jamaica
trip.
without you.
Ooh,
I'm going to
okay.
Jamaica without you.
Well, enjoy for me and have a drink. And if you can,
It's my turn. Thank you.
hopefully we will hear from you next week. And so we'll
Yeah, I'm
know.
gonna try to make that happen. It all depends on what the situation is down there, how drunk I am.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, you ain't gonna find any kind of time for no damn cake when you have all kinds of goodies down there. Um, but yeah, the safe trip and have a great time. And like I honestly have a couple of drinks for me and remember everyone to, well, first of all, thank you for tuning in. Remember this broadcast is available as a podcast on all of the top podcast players, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Google Play Music, Stitcher, also on SoundCloud and YouTube, of course, so you can replay and listen to whatever you may have missed, and share this podcast with anyone who you feel might enjoy the conversation we just had. And vexradio.com, like I said, hip hop and R&B all day long, every day. If you want to send a shout out, which will play on air, or request a song, you can do that by calling 1-877-469-3016. Shoutouts, you choose option 1, and for requests, you choose option 2. Again, the number 1-877-469-3016. And yeah, we're back here live to air every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Any final words, sir? Not that you're not coming back to us, you are, but
yeah. Well, I hope I just say you trying to write my story already, man. Like, what else?
final word. For now, we may not hear from you in
Yeah.
a few weeks, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just what it comes down to is everybody play safe, be nice to each other, and you know what? I'll have a shot for every one of you. Bye.
Good Lord. Okay. Rub it in. And what's your drink down
Hey,
there?
yours.
Do you
It's
have?
my turn. My turn.
I
Huh?
know. What's your drink? Of,
Oh,
or
what's
do
my
you mix it up?
drinks? Yeah, no, what? It's always Johnny, Ray Nephew, or ginger, coconut water. That's three. You know
Oh
what I mean?
God,
Or
yes, have a coconut for me. Jeez. All right. And don't forget the jelly and all that. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
that's that jelly, right?
Okay, bye. No more of this torture. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care.
Peace.